Ariel Helwani in Las Vegas alongside Tony Ferguson, who meets Eve Edwards this Saturday night at the Ultimate Fighter 14 finale, live and free on Spike TV. And Tony, thank you for the time. It's only been a couple months since we saw you fight in Denver. Did you expect to come back this quickly?
I was hoping to have come back this quickly. I was either hoping to get on the Brock Lesnar or Alistair card or something in between there now. I was just hoping because it's hard for me to sit around. I stay active 24/7, and so I think the UFC saw that, and they know, and so that's why they gave me a fight.
Your last fight against Aaron Riley was your lightweight debut, and I'm just wondering, you drop all those pounds, and obviously you kind of want to eat again, right? I'm sure. How much weight did you put on after the fight?
After the fight, I got back up to 185, 190, but that was like a couple trips to Del Taco, Taco Bell, McDonald's all in the same night. So it was pretty easy, but it shed off just like in no time either, because my face was back in the gym on that following Monday. Coach couldn't keep me out, so it was kind of like my weight dropped again, so it was pretty easy.
And how would you compare this cut to your first cut to 155?
The first cut was a little rough because I didn't know about the atmosphere change. I was going to be over in Denver. I hadn't made that cut since David Gardner, which was a long time ago, but I only had to make 58 that time. So it was a catch weight. This time it was at 56, and so it was a little bit rougher with the atmosphere, but now we're in Vegas and, got the atmosphere taken care of, so the cut's pretty easy this time.
What are you doing differently? And maybe there's nothing and it's just the atmosphere that's affecting you, but what are you doing differently this time as opposed to last time to make it easier?
Lifting weights and a lot more circuit training and a hell of a lot more running. I did a lot of running this time, and my legs have always been there for me. But the last fight for Aaron, I was more nervous than anything. Just kind of like it was like a fighter versus a fighter, It's kind of hard to prepare for something like that. You can prepare as much as you want to, but it's just going to happen what's inside that octagon. This fight was a little bit different because I know Eves is coming off another knockout, and he's going to want to knock me out. So I had to prepare differently. He knows I have a lot of power, and so what I had to do is I had to double my power. So I had to double my speed too. So I had to figure that out, how to do that, and cut 15 pounds, and which we did. We did pretty good.
Now, are you confident that 155 is the right weight class for you?
I'm pretty confident that 155 is my weight class. I wrestled in high school. I won state at 152 over in Michigan, and then I won nationals for Grand Valley State at 165 pounds. And I won the thing at welterweight. So obviously 155 is just like right there, and I can't complain. Even the cut, it makes me more hungry. Don't eat red meat. You get more hungry. You get inside that cage, and then you guys get a better show.
Now, what do you think when you got that call that you were fighting Eve Edwards? This is a legend of the sport. I mean, he's been around forever, one of the true pioneers at 155. What do you think when you got that call that you were going to fight him?
I wasn't sure what his name was because I didn't really follow the UFC a lot when I was younger. I was just competing a lot, and I made the comment about like how he was been fighting since I was in high school. Not a bad comment. I was just saying that's respect. That's because I was like, man, I didn't think I was going to ever get to this point. And now I'm fighting a guy that's been here fighting and has over almost 60 fights. Oh, man, this is crazy. So, I mean, it's a cool experience to be able to fight somebody like that. I'm just going to worry about what I do. I'm going to bring it to him.
Did you watch any of his fights?
Yes, I did. So the one thing is as soon as I found out who I was going to fight, that's when I got a little bit nervous. When I did my homework on him, I saw him. He did that crouching thing where, he kind of goes back and forth. Me and my buddies kind of made a little joke where I would do like a six-step, kind of open up, kind of like this, and then kind of go down like, just to break it up. And, I've only heard good things about Eves and how he's a sportsman and how he's a nice guy. And the one thing is like, nice guys finish last. I'm a nice guy too, and I know that once we're both inside that cage, we're both not going to be nice.
He's enjoyed this sort of resurrection of his career in the UFC now. He had to go fight elsewhere, and now he's back in the UFC. I'm wondering, did you watch any of his fights outside of the UFC and compare them to what he's doing now? And do you think that he's actually maybe an even better fighter than the one from a couple of years ago?
Oh, I guarantee he's a better fighter. The one thing is once you fought in so many different organizations, it doesn't matter where you fight at anymore. You just go, and if you have a cage or a ring, you just fight. It's what you do for a living. It's your career. It's kind of like with me in wrestling. It's like when we were stuck in Michigan forever, and all of a sudden, oh, hey, we're going to Cliff Key National Duels. Different spot, but you still got to act the same way, You just hope that, what Brock told me, all the hay's in the barn. Just bring the storm.
How do you beat him?
How do you beat him? Being faster, stronger, quicker, agile, and anticipate his next move. I use the analogy about chess playing. Just because I move a pawn forward doesn't mean that's my main part. You know what I mean? But you can't just risk any little part of you. You can't just sacrifice a limb for something. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But at the same time, there's a strategy involved in this, and we do have a strategy.
You just mentioned Brock, of course. He was your coach on The Ultimate Fighter. Did you train with him or the team? Obviously, he's preparing for his fight at the end of the month. Were you around him preparing for this fight?
I was not around him this fight. I took on the opportunity for myself to be more vocal in this training camp. I wanted a knucklehead's knockout victory, stamp of approval. I told my coach, Joseph Janik, that. We call him Haas. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to do everything that you tell me to do. The same thing what Marty did. and nothing wrong with death clutch. Obviously, I'm still with death clutch. But I just told him, I was like, I really feel like I really want to knock this guy out. I want to stay at home, and I feel comfortable. My fiance is here. It's around the season of holidays. Thanksgiving, there's going to be a big guy camp over there, not a little guy camp. I would have been over at Greg Nelson's camp, which would have been awesome, over the academy. Awesome, but I just felt like I was been too spread thin with this one. Thanksgiving, I went to my family, which I haven't been around for a very long time. This sport limits us to be able to, go around and enjoy the nice things. So I went to Thanksgiving. I went to 3 different families, and I said thanks. And that was the one thing that I really wanted to do, before this fight. I don't want to risk, being spread so thin. So that's why I stayed home.
And do you feel it was the right decision to make?
Correct. It was the awesomest feeling in the world. If anybody ever had the opportunity to watch The Ultimate Fighter 13 before I actually went out and fought Ramsey, they had the picture of Ventura County. That's where I trained. So you imagine like a cold weather, a cold temperate. No, I didn't have to worry about anything. Only thing I had to worry about was training, making sure that I was there, eating right, and making sure I was on the regimen and on time.
And in June, in this very setting, you defeated Ramsey to become the season 13 winner of the Ultimate Fighter. And on Saturday night, they're going to crown 2 new winners. If you could tell those guys, and I know you're just a few months removed, but you're a wiser fighter now. You just picked up another win in the UFC. You're fighting again now for the 3rd time. Could you give them any advice as to how life will change after they win the show?
Just get back to the gym. If you want your life to change, get stuck up in like all the BS and all the things that go along with it, the people that come around, just keep doing what you do. Don't change yourself. Don't let anything affect you. Just because you win or just because you lose, just keep pushing forward. Keep doing just before what you were doing before you got to the Ultimate Fighter show. Make sure that you're still giving it 150% inside the gym every day, and make sure that nothing gets to your head. Why? Because true champions are made that way. It's a very big sport right now in mixed martial arts is the UFC, and they're trying to make and pave their way throughout the entire world as far as expanding with Brazil and Japan. And this is us. This is our time to be able to show class and make sure that everybody in the world knows that we're not a bunch of barbarians.
Did you have a moment where it may have gone to your head and you had a coach or someone to say, essentially, check yourself before you wreck yourself? You know what I mean? That you don't need to let this or have to let this go to your head?
The one thing is when I was about 7 years old, 7th grade, I'm sorry, my dad, it was funny, we were in Michigan, my stepdad, he brought me over there to a college wrestling. They had a session, and I was a little guy, and I was preparing for state. Well, one time I was practicing, and I was doing really good, and I was cocky. I was in 7th grade, and I've been wrestling already for a long time, and the coach told me I wasn't coachable. And my dad got mad, and he got really mad because I thought I knew everything. And at a young age like that, I got a head slap, and, oh, I'm sorry, my bad, And it's straightened out since then. And I never had a problem with my head getting too big or anything. I always kept to myself. You saw on the Ultimate Fighter show, I exploded one night, but I'm human. And the one thing is, like any other time before that, I kept to myself. I made my food. I love to cook. I love to listen to music, be on the computer, play video games, play guitar, longboard. I love everything that anybody else likes to do, But.
All right, well, Tony Ferguson returns to action this Saturday night, live and free on Spike TV. He goes up against Yves Edwards on the undercard of the Michael Bisping versus Jason Mayhem Miller fight. Good luck. Thank you for the time. We look forward to that one very much.
Cool. Thank you very much, guys.